How's it going? My name is Brent from Encore, PPF, and today we are going to be working on a Tesla Model S. It is a 90D. We're installing paint protection on the front end of this vehicle. It was in a car accident, so it's got brand new paint, and so they're looking to protect that. So today we're going to be working on the bumper. This is a 2015, and so this is the OG right here. Let's go ahead and get started on this. What's up? Nope. I put extra soap in it today for this other film, and now it's too sticky or too slippery for this film. That's what I got going on here. But it's gonna be just fine. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and start below the headlight and then around this grill here. I'm going to line all that up and then we'll start squeegeeing it out. Looks like we're going to need just a smidgen of stretch that way, so we'll tack here first and then work our way that direction. Okay. Alright, let's go ahead and work this down around here. We're basically just lining this edge up. Alright, we'll go ahead and take a pause there and work this direction now. Okay, so now we're going to stretch to this point right here. Making sure that this stays lined up. Squeegee this part out. And then we'll go ahead and check down here. Make sure we've got enough stretch and that everything's lining up good. And then we'll go ahead and bring all of this direction. We'll worry about this part later. All right, so from there, we're kind of stretching all this into place to make sure that we have all the covers that we need. It's looking good right there. You can see actually I've got a finger print that's stuck right there, and that could leave a little distortion in the adhesive, so let's pull that back. Okay, and we're hanging over a bit here. That means we need to go down. Okay, we need to go back over this way a little bit. All right, we'll just keep continuing to work our way down here, just following this edge. So I'm gonna push over from here, and then I'm gonna squeegee everything out above my hand. And we're just gonna continue that all the way down. All right, so if this was a newer pattern, because this is a 2015 vehicle, this would have wrapped in a bit around to this backside, but because it's an older pattern, it does not do that. But it's leaps and bounds better than what was on this when we removed it for the body shop. All right, we're gonna stay at this body line right here. And from there, we need this space so that we can stretch over a little bit this direction. All right, let's go ahead and go there and then go to my hand there. So you can see that I'm pulling them, let's see. So you can see that I'm pulling the slip solution this way, and then when I get over here to where this is already tacked down, I'm not continuing to pull it this way because we don't want to drag any of this into stuff that's already stuck down. So then I'm taking this one this direction, kind of bringing it towards the center and then going out with it, basically. Okay. Actually, that's not good. I got a little far, or a little ahead of myself there. We need to get this lined up real good here. Oh, you know what? Let's, okay. All right, now, this is interesting because right here we're good lined up here, but we've got a lot of extra material here in order to stay lined up here. What is this car doing? You hear that fan? It's like it's gonna go for a drive all by itself. We do have it plugged in. Maybe that's the sound it makes when it's charging. When the battery gets hot, or maybe the air conditioner turned on inside of it. I'm not sure. It's almost sounding like a jet engine in front of me right here. I can feel the air getting pulled through this section. Watch this, watch this. That's when I push that vent open a little bit right there. All right, so on this one, I don't know if I can even talk loud enough to talk over this thing. All right, I'm gonna talk real loud. That's insane. Oh, something's wrong. Oh my God, I think the thing was gonna blow up. Vehicle coolant is low. Okay, it's up to 27 miles. We are not plugging that back in because that immediately turned the sound off. All right, let's get back to work now that now that we turned off the jet engine. I don't know what it's low on coolant, I guess. So maybe that was the battery overheating. The battery overheating. With the charging. That kept getting louder and louder and louder. Okay, well, it's low on coolant. It came from the body shop, so you know they're not completely done with it yet. All right, so let's go ahead and see what we can do here with this. We are gonna have to kind of pull this back a little bit here in order to try and split this finger up. That is a lot of finger to deal with, but it's going to be workable. Before we do that though, I want to go ahead and get this bottom tacked down so we can put some pressure on this. So let's go ahead. Basically all I did was I ran back and unplugged it, so that's when the sound turned off. All right, so that looks like it's lining up real good right here, and it's lining up good here, so I think that's in the right spot. We're gonna go ahead and go across here, just on the face of this, and then we're gonna go down below and make sure this is wrapped however much it wraps. Oh, look at that, it popped right back up. Okay, we're gonna need a little tack there. We got alcohol, we've got more soap. So let's use a little tack solution here on this bottom edge. So again, we're gonna go across that front face, and then we're gonna go ahead and swipe all the rest of this down. Okay, and then let's go ahead and get this stuff down. All right, so I went and put some tack in there. Let's see. Well, you know what? Let's not start with tack. Let's just start with slip and see how it goes. And then we'll come back with some tack once we work our way closer to this area. So what you can see here is what I'm doing is I'm kind of breaking this finger up by taking it up where it's the biggest, and then that puts a little bit over here and a little bit over on this side as well. Because as it was, when there was a big finger just right here, there was no way that was going down and staying down. I mean, you might have been able to get it down, but it wasn't going to stay there. Okay. You know, this is something that on a newer pattern you probably wouldn't run into that situation, but 2015 is light years ago for paint protection patterns. Okay, that looks fantastic though. Go ahead and get these down here. We just basically want them over that edge. Push this down and follow it up with my finger to hold it in place and let that tack down. And we can go ahead and dry that out a little bit. Let's go ahead and bump out all this edge here. Okay. Again, we're gonna leave that. We're also gonna leave this. I'm gonna put a little, some more slip under there and then just let that hang out there. This part needs to dry and we have a lot more of the bumper to get down on the other side. Okay. Just getting rid of some of that pre-tacking. We do have to work our way over from here first. Can't just jump to the other side. All right, pre-tacking corrected. And we're gonna follow this top edge here all the way over. And actually, let's go over and see if we need to do any stretching. And that looks like that's lining up really good right here. And that puts us with about no stretching. So this is more of just an alignment than a stretch. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and start here in the middle and then work my way that direction and then work my way this direction. The reason I don't wanna start here and come all the way across is because if I do that and I accidentally put some stretch on that, then this isn't gonna line up correctly. All right, so once we get over to this part where it's already been tacked, we're gonna bring that this way, same as over that on that part. Okay, we're not trying to get that down right now, so we're put a little slip in there. Oh, Brent, that was silly. I accidentally caught the top there. Okay, squeegeeing this bottom down. Okay, let's bring you on over. All right, so and then before I take care of this part, I do want to go ahead and double check. This fresh paint that's just been put on the car, sometimes fresh paint is a little bit more tacky than paint that's been on there for a little bit, so just keep that in mind. If it's really starting to tack up, it's probably, I mean, you know, that is probably the issue here. It's probably not my slip solution, it's probably the brand new fresh paint. Okay, so we're lined up real good right here, so I'm gonna go ahead and squeegee this part out. And now we'll go ahead and work in this area here. And just make sure, oh my gosh, I did this again. That's ridiculous. How long have I been doing this? Must be my first day. So you just pull it back. Because there's no tack solution that was involved there before, it just pulls right back and you correct that problem and push it back out again. Okay. Just feeling for any water bubbles. Just feeling for any water bubbles or fingers popping up on the bottom here. Feels real good. There might have been one right there. Do a little slide jump on that. Okay. Let's go ahead and work this area now. We're gonna come up into here. We're gonna be watching this and watching this here. Okay, what's going on here? Oh. All right. That was kind of moving around still, so we're going to add some tack solution in there to get it to stay stuck down like right now. I don't have time for it to keep moving around on me. It's this right here. Check that out. It's a pretty big bump there. Could just be, nope, it's not just in the paint. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and get some tack in there again. So as I was positioning that with the tack in there, I was being super gentle, and then I moved my hands right to the edge. You don't want to put a lot of pressure because you are going to tack that down, and then when you squeegee across it, you know, you're going to have marks from your fingers, you're going to have marks from trying to push the solution through there. Okay. It's funny that this is tacking again, and this part was so slippery still. Well, I don't know if it's funny, but it's just interesting. Okay, so same as the other side, we're going to come to right about here visually and make sure that that lines up good. Okay. So if you find that you're putting stuff into place, and then like let's say you tack that down right there, and then it keeps moving around like that, it means that either you have too much slip in your solution, which we know isn't the case here, or you're just going to need tack in order to keep that part to stay down. All right, so let's show you what that looks like then. So we're going to go ahead and put a little tack just on the very edge, and you don't want to hold where you put your tack. You want to hold somewhere, you know, above or below where you put the tack solution. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and squeegee out where the tack solution is. This is all lining up pretty good here. So go ahead and squeegee this out. And then again, we're going to follow this line down here. And so if you're doing this at home or you know learning, I would suggest a little bit of tack on this very edge, and then I would do my little bit of stretch that's necessary. And then squeegee this edge out, then you can push all this down. Let's get rid of these guys so that as they dry out, they're going to leave little V-shape lines in the adhesive. So we want to let's just take care of those right now. Another thing that you can do to get more grip on the material is wear rubber gloves. That'll really help your hands stick to the material when you're moving it around. I just don't like wearing rubber gloves, so I don't use them, but that is, you know, that's definitely something that could be helpful in certain circumstances. Okay, we're going to try and stay nice and tied up against this back edge here. All right, we got a little pre-tacking that started right there, so you can see I left some air in there, and we're gonna need to get that out. Let's go ahead and pull this back. And actually, let's double check this part too. So over here, I'm just trying to lift it up. I'm not trying to stretch it. I'm just trying to get it up high enough I can get some more slip underneath there. Otherwise, if you pull too hard, you could leave a stretch line there. All right, let's do this all over again. All right, Let's get this just to this body line here, and then let's start getting some of this down. Because this is lining up real well. Just use good overlapping strokes. Make sure you're not leaving any slip solution or tack solution behind. This is gonna be great. I think that was worth the break. You think that was worth the break? Let's take a little break and...
Yeah.
This is tough. This is... the pattern is old.
Yeah.
All right. That went pretty good. Let's get this down. Nope. Okay. Let's see what we can do here now. You know what? I forgot we're going to run into the same situation where we need this to line up, and that might leave some extra material here, which it is going to again. So let's kind of get this in place. A little tack in there. I'm going to hold on this side this time so I can line that up real well. Get this to look like it's going to line up real good, and then we'll go ahead and squeegee that part out, and now we can try and work this finger out. Woo! This is going to be a good video on finger management as well. Dang it. As I screw it up right there. That's nice. So let's get some tack down here, because we don't want that moving around. Although we do need to be pretty quick about it. Okay. Let's go ahead and try and push these out again. Now let's go ahead and get some tack in there. All right. Looking good. So we're going to go ahead and go right over the top of those. And then with this part of the squeegee here, not this part, but with this part, we're going to hold that edge in place. If you use this part during your install and hold, you're going to leave a line in the adhesive. Let's get this one down. Okay, let's take care of this now. Okay, so what we're going to try and do is line up against this back edge here. Okay, let's try that. I'm going to squirt in. We've got this lined up. This, unfortunately, on the bottom is not going to line up. Probably should have... Well, we already had so much finger over here. There's not much we could do with this. We could try putting this down first. Let's see. Actually, let's go back and try that. Wouldn't normally recommend pulling it back during the installation like that, but I want to try something. Let's try putting this piece down before and then see what that looks like when we bring this piece over to it. All right, I'm gonna push that down and I'm gonna hold that for a few seconds. Make sure that that stays down. That's looking good. Let's go ahead and get the rest of this down. So to work this, let's see, let's get you more down there. Can you see what we're doing? Good. Okay. So to wrap this in, I'm gonna push down here and bring this around like this. Because otherwise, if you just do like this, you see how this wants to curl up? So if we do it like that, then we don't have to worry about that. That fixes that. Okay. And squeegee out towards the back, and then we want to bring all of this rest of this stuff up. Now we've got to take care of this here. Spray some tack up in there, and let's work this down. Okay. All right, so let's get all of this down and then we'll bring this over into this. So normally to get rid of something like this, let me just show you. What I would do is put a little stretch on that, and you see how that goes away? That would be great, except for that's gonna make us hang over this back edge, and hanging over that back edge is gonna be really difficult to get a knife in there and trim that. So that is how we're going to deal with that. Okay. Now let's do this top piece. So we're gonna get a little bit of tack in there, and we're gonna chomp this down. Well, first I'm gonna make sure that we're kind of over that body line there, and then we're going to chomp down kind of in the center first, and then work our way out to that edge. So this one, normally I like to work from the sides to the middle, but on this one, if we had done this one like this, there's a good possibility we were gonna push and make a finger underneath here, and we don't wanna do that. Okay, and then we're just gonna continue to work our way over to this side here. You know, really for a 2015 pattern, this pattern fits really good. I think my wife has a 2014, might be 2012 Sienna van, and I didn't even bother using the pattern on that vehicle. I just went ahead and bulked it. But this one actually, you know, it's good for a 2015 for sure pattern. Okay, so to get rid of some of this, we can on this one do just a little bit of stretch, and we want the stretch to be all in this area here. We don't need to stretch all the rest of that. And so it's not like I want to pull on this backside and stretch the whole thing, because then I'm going to stretch too much and I'm going to hang over the back edge. We want that stretch just to be at the beginning there. So I'm going to go ahead and do like that. And then I can hold it in place back there. And then let's squeegee all this out. Get a little tack in there for those areas that are not wanting to stay down. And just working my way back to my finger. Okay. All right, so that's all looking really good. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to bring this over and line this up and get a good seam here. The other way was definitely not going to get us a good seam. Well, we'll see how this goes, and then we'll make a decision for the other side. All right, so let's lay this back down now, And I know on the other side we had already laid this down, but not this part yet. So after we do this, we'll see how that looks, and then we'll make a decision if we're gonna change the other side or if we're just gonna leave it like it is. Okay. Oh, that's the way to go. Right there. Okay. Now we know. Now we know for this 2015 Tesla that only like a dozen people are going to do more of these. I guess just when they get crashed probably, or when somebody has one that they had repainted. I mean, it's been forever since I've seen one of these in here. Okay, so again, we want a little bit of tack. So that was definitely the way to go. Put this down, then put this up against it, and that was a great seam now. Before, this was actually hanging down way over onto this piece, so that wasn't gonna work out. All right, slap that down. We'll come back to that. Let's push this stuff back. Little part wanting to pop up there, get a little tack in there, and just for reassurance or insurance of it for it staying down, we'll go ahead and bump that edge, dry it out, and when you dry those edges out, that'll help keep. Let's explain that better. So if water stays on that edge, it's going to continue to help it pop back up, but if you dry that edge out, then there's no moisture there to get underneath the edge to help it lift. Little note to self, log that away somewhere. All right, let's see how this lines up, bringing this down. Okay, it's not gonna line up at all. Okay, let's see if we can get a little bit more picture here. Okay, so the other way on the other side is definitely the way to go about doing this. You're not going to want to lay this bottom part down first before putting this part down. So here's the issue now. This bottom part is stuck down. It's completely dry. So if I pull that back, it's almost always going to leave a lift line wherever I stop. But so what we're going to go ahead and do is get some hot water and do a little trick and see if we can minimize or even completely eliminate the possibility of there being a lift line back to wherever we decide to stop. So let's go ahead and show you this trick and see how it works. All right, so when it comes to this technique of pulling the material back, you do want to make sure that you're using hot water. I mean, hot is the most important part of the water. All right, and what we're going to want to do is warm the material up, and then we're going to start peeling it back. And I'm actually going to come all the way back to here so that if I do leave a lift line, it's not this long, it's only this long. And we're just going to keep a ton of warm water on this throughout peeling it back. This will help the material release from the bumper easier. And then back here, that will help with the lift line. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and stop right there. We're gonna get some slip underneath it now. And we're gonna put some hot water on the top and kind of let that relax into that place, because when we pulled it, we did put some stretch on it, but we want that to relax back into place. Okay, So let's go ahead and squeegee that out, and we'll see how this worked. Now, another thing that I've noticed when you're pulling back material like this is that you want to squeegee. You don't want to squeegee like away from the line. Let's see. So if the line is vertical like this, you want to squeegee with the line. And that even goes for horizontal. You want to go with the line, so like with the grain of that line. If you go this way, it's a possibility you're going to put some stretch on it, and that's going to increase the possibility of the lift line being more pronounced. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and take this around now to right about here. All right, and then, so right now, let's see if you can see this. See right here, it's really kind of hard to see. Right here. Well, there was a little bit of a color difference because the adhesive on this is wet now and the adhesive over here is dry. So there is a slight line there. We're gonna come back and look at that and see what that looks like when it completely dries on both sides. All right, so let's do this part all over again. And by all over again, I mean just like the other side. All right, we're gonna need to pull this back a little bit because for whatever reason, we're stretched down a little bit and this isn't lining up with that. And we'll hope that this makes a difference. For that, again, we're using the warm water. Now some of that water is gonna get underneath and then that's gonna be incredibly tacky. So that's why we're gonna go back and put some slip under there. Okay, and that did help a bit. All right. Once we kind of get this lined up now, I'm gonna put a little tack right on that corner here and try to just squeegee out that one little spot so that stays in place while we work with the rest of this here. The other thing you can do too is use water as a replacement for tack, and that works very well. Okay, so we've got that down. Let's go ahead and get this down now. Now this finger, what we're gonna do is bring it this way. And it's gonna need a little bit of water or tack solution just to stay down. Okay. There we go. All right, so we're just gonna, I'll show you just, you know, for the water, and the warm water is nice too. So you see, like that's already stuck right there. That's water for you. Tack solution is stuck, but not quite as stuck. So it allows you to do a little bit more maneuvering before you're stuck. So, or before it's like, water is gonna attack like super fast. And slip solution is gonna float the material around a little bit so you can do some little minor adjustments before it starts to tack down. And then back in here, we're gonna want just the slip because we need to do this maneuver with our finger. Another thing that would work really good in here is this squeegee with the angle on it. Obviously with this one, I'm bumping into this With this one, we eliminate that problem. Great squeegee to have. It's just one of these that I cut. All right, let's go ahead and we're going to put a little tack in here. And then we're going to put a little slip on the outside. And let's go ahead and squeegee this down. So I left it, there was a little water pocket or air pocket in there. So what I went and did, put my fingernail in the edge of the material. Ooh, look at how shaky I was right there. Too much coffee today. Put my fingernail in the edge and pulled back like that, and that lifted the material up a little bit so that I'm able to go ahead and push out that little air pocket I left in there. Let's go ahead and make sure this stays down with a little bit of water or tack solution. Okay, that looks great. Beauty. And then let's go ahead and take care of all this again. Let's go ahead and get this part down first right here. I'm gonna just stick with this squeegee here. This looks like we could pull back a little bit, and that's gonna help get rid of some of this finger. Oh, and Ron, if Heather pulled it out, they may be in the center console of the car. She may have pulled that car out. Okay, that's staying down nicely. Let's go ahead and get some tack in this part. All right. A little water bubble right there. Let's go ahead and pull it back and get that out. Make sure we've got everything off that face, stuff like that. It's off the face of the bumper. And then we're going to go ahead and chomp this down. Double checking that body line to make sure we're not leaving anything behind. You know, the other thing with black vehicles is that it's so much harder to leave water behind because you can see it. On white vehicles, super easy to leave a bunch of like water pockets and air pockets behind, comparatively anyway. Can you, oh, let's make sure you can see what I'm working on. Okay, I'm just kind of working on these things here a little bit. This area right here is more than likely going to take some trimming or some heat because we are actually, I think, hanging over the edge just a little bit. Okay, all that looks really good under there. This looks good, that looks good. Now let's go ahead and bring this seam together here. All right, let's go ahead and get this seam together. So basically I'm kind of just sliding the material back and forth until it bumps into the other piece. And then I take this finger, and if I'm over a little bit, I can feel that. And if I move the material with this finger just a little bit, it's not a ton of pressure, it's just a little bit, it'll push this stuff back this way and make sure it's not overlapping. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out the words to use here to make it the most to make it most sense. Okay, so we're lined up real good right there, and it's most important that the seam, the seam is the most important part. And then we don't want to overhang back here either. So we'll start with the seam and then we'll worry about the rest of this. I'm gonna hold that part of the seam in place while I kind of squeegee some of this out. Now we're gonna do some, now that I held that in place for just a little bit, it should stay stuck down. Get a little tack in there. All right, so we're chomping this down. And then this I call a slide chomp. And basically what I'm doing is I'm wrapping over onto the part that's already stuck down, and then this goes past the part that isn't stuck down and we go across it like that and slide chomp it. Okay, now that that's stuck down real good, we can push all the rest of this down. The nice thing about this edge as well, on in this area, is that because it's so short, it's very malleable comparatively. All right, great. All right, so let's go ahead and get in here and check this line out and see how we did on pulling that back. Because I guarantee you, if you don't use the hot water, you're gonna leave a really pronounced, extremely pronounced lift line there. Now, let's see. I'm gonna try a couple things here. I don't know if you can see that. There is the tiniest line there that nobody will ever notice. All right, let's see what we can do with this one here. All right, so the line is right there. You literally can't see it. We'll see if it shows up during editing, if I can see it or not, but it's pretty much invisible. All right, so we're going to be bumping into this edge here from this piece, and then this edge here from this piece. We want to make sure that those have had some time to dry before we start bumping into them with this middle piece, because otherwise they're going to pop up and then that won't get us a good seam. Also, when we're squeegeeing out this piece, it's possible, if this isn't stuck down and cured, that we can squeegee the water from here through the seam and under this piece of material. We don't want that either. So those are good and dry. I've given those about 20 minutes or so. This one's had even longer. And we'll go ahead and get this centerpiece in, and then move on to on a new car, which would be considered the grill, or a different, I'm sorry, this would be considered a grill, not on a new car, just on any car that wasn't electric. I think pretty much this was where the radiator would be. I don't know why I need to say all that, sorry. Okay, not good. So this is all lined up here. This seam lined up really well. This is lined up good back here. It's not hanging over back here. It could have gone back a little bit that way, but then I don't know. This does not fit well here, and this definitely has to go in last. So what I'm going to end up doing with this is overlapping onto top of this one to bring this part of the seam together here. So let's see if what we can do with this. So I'm going to get this corner between this piece and this piece lined up, and then I'm going to get this lined up real well and make this a nice tight seam here. So basically what I'm doing now is kind of taking this material and pushing it up against this piece of material, and this finger down here was also lining up the material. So you could see that you can, you know, make your adjustments and make it bump into it with this other hand. All right. We're also, pickup appointment has been scheduled, whatever that means. All right, well, don't forget to pick that up. I don't know if that was for you guys or for me. I have no idea what that means. All right, so I want this to be a good seam. Means that we're hanging over down here on the bottom now. I'm not sure what we could have done different to have this work out different, but now I'm gonna put some stretch on this and then kind of get this seam to line up decently here. No, that's too much. Okay, we're just gonna let this overhang and I'll come back and trim this off. The other thing that we are gonna do is try and get back here to the back and eliminate hanging over the front so much. Remember again that this is a pattern from 2015, so we got to give, you know, we got to give some leeway for that. Or some grace. I'm not sure. We're giving something though. We're saying that we understand this is an old pattern. I mean, if this was a new pattern I was having these issues, that would not be good. But we're not having those issues on a new pattern. Okay, so we are gonna have to do some trimming here because that is hanging over, but now we are lined back up here again with all the kind of awkward stretching that we did right there. You wouldn't normally probably need to do that, but if you did, now you know how. Okay, now, what a mess that was. Let's go ahead and go work on the other side and see what we're gonna need for stretching out here. Okay, so it looks like we are going to need a lot of stretching. We're going to need 3/4 of an inch right there, which seems like a lot, but that's what it is. Okay. All right, so the reason that I don't just start over here and then work my way across is because we need this to line up really well because it's a seam. So if we start over there and just work our way across, this may be short or it may be long, and then we're gonna be trimming that, and that trimming it isn't always, trimming it usually at a seam is going to leave more of a gap than if you can just push the two together really tight. So we're gonna get that side down, we're gonna get this side down, and then we're going to take care of everything in the center. All right, let's see what happens here. So it's gonna be the same exact situation as the other side. We're gonna go for this corner up here, and then we're gonna work our way down. So you probably most of the time would need to use some tack solution, or yeah, I mean, I guess tack solution underneath there. I mean, you could try using, let's see, did that get, I feel like when I go across that I left a little gap there. Nope, we're good. Okay, so, you know, tack solution in there would be really tough because it's gonna stick so quickly. So, you know, the slip solution is good, and then with a lot of pressure with my finger, that holds that and sticks that down into place. And we're gonna have to go ahead and do the same thing again because we're hanging over the front. We're gonna have to stretch this back and hang over this piece in order to get us lined back up so that we're not having to trim. The reason I'm doing that is because I don't want to trim down there all the way across. And I want to get some good coverage back here as well. So we're gonna push back and we're gonna pull this way just a little bit. All right, so now because this was hanging over the edge and it wasn't stuck down real good, all that tension that we put pulling back and pulling this way has caused it to lift back up. So we're gonna go ahead and lay it back down. I'm hanging over just a little bit there. Let's pull it back and make sure that we're not overlapping. Okay, that's looking good. So some tack solution down in that would have been a good idea. There we go. Okay, now let's work towards the center. Let's actually do a little tack in there too. And basically when I'm pushing like this, I'm pushing and bumping into the recess there. I call it a recess. I'm bumping into the bottom of this pattern. And that's helping that stay stuck down. And then we'll trim right there later. So let's go ahead and make sure that this back edge is all lined up. We got a little tacking going on, so let's go ahead and pull this up. Get rid of that pre-tacking. Okay, we'll lay that back down. Okay, that's looking really good. So on that back edge, we're just gonna kind of squeegee that down. And then gently, we're gonna bring that out towards the front. And gently, because that we only use slip solution to tack it down. We did not use any tack solution. So if we pull too hard like this, it's gonna move the whole piece. Okay. All right, now that all we've got left is this little edge, we're gonna put some tack solution in there. So a little tack under, a little slip on top. Make sure that we've got everything off the face there, and then we're gonna go ahead and chomp this down. And then from here, we're going to, you can see how this is going to run on here. I'm way up here. So we're already pushed down up here, and my squeegee is gonna cover from there all the way down underneath. And we're gonna do what's called a slide, what I call a slide chomp. Actually, I don't know if anybody else calls it that. I made that up. So there you go. You could also just do a chomp, which is like that. All right, let's go ahead and install this center section here now. So something to note on this bumper install is that we did delete all of the parking sensors out of the pattern in the computer. And the reason for that is because on older vehicles, those positioning might not have been as good, and I always delete those. Even on new vehicles, just because that's my preference. And then I'm gonna trim them out. So it's not like I'm gonna leave the material over top of them. I am going to trim them myself. Okay, so in a situation like this, I am going to go ahead and start right in the center, because we know that that needs to line up really well. And so we're going to go ahead and squeegee up. You can see a little mark right here. There is some debris in this repaint. That's common for repaint though, to have a couple little things here and there. All right, now we need to get rid of these fingers. And actually, look at that guy. Okay, so let's see what we can do here. Well, let's go put you back over here. These are going to be very easy to get rid of. Those would actually push out. So let's try a couple different ways here. We'll just try stretching the whole thing all the way to here. And look at that. That gets rid of almost all the fingers. That's going to work out great. Look how fast that's stuck down to. All right. And we'll do the other side different. I don't think it's normally going to work out that well. Or, you know, depending on the pattern, right? It's not always going to work out that, you know, that easily. Depends on the bumper, depends on the pattern. Let's chomp that down. All right, now let's get rid of all these fingers here. And how we're gonna do that is get a little alcohol in there, which is the tack solution. All right, so I've got a little finger there. If you can see that keeps popping back up. I'm gonna go ahead and put some water in there. And then we'll push that guy down. And then this area that kept popping up, I just put my finger on it and held it while we were doing that other work. And that got that to stick down. Let's bump this edge. Help everything else stay down. It just gets rid of all the water on that edge. Terrific. All right, let's go ahead and take care of this side. We're gonna do it the same way we did the other side. But what we are gonna do first is, because this area has started to cure, so we've got some that started to cure and then some that hasn't stuck down yet. So we are going to squeegee out about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch and then let that rest for just a few seconds. Depends on how much slip is in there and how slippery everything is, because I'm so tacky today. Wow. I just call myself tacky. We know that that's going to stick down real quick. So what's going to happen is that because this is dry and you're going to start, we need to do all this stretch. If you don't give yourself that extra squeegee over, you're going to be pulling right on that line that's already stuck down, and that's going to leave a line in the adhesive right there, a distortion straight down. Now, if you squeegee over 1 inch to, 1/2 inch to 1 inch, give yourself a new area to stretch from, it's not going to leave that line because this part is not fully cured yet, so you don't have to worry about that line. All right, pull this back. And then we're gonna go ahead and do this same thing. Okay. Normally you're not gonna get it to stay down like that so quick. That's so easy. I wish it was always like that. And actually, with that amount of stretch, I would definitely want these not in there. I wouldn't want those factory cut from the pattern, because that stretch was really great, and then we don't know if that's going to line up. What we would have to do from here is stretch to that circle, and then from the circle we'd have to stretch out, and that may work totally fine. I'm not sure. Okay, so right there I hit a dry spot, and that made my squeegee stop on the material. So if you can see that straight line right there, I'm hoping you're going to be able to see that. right there, that's the type of line that you're going to get in the adhesive when your squeegee stops on the material while you're squeegeeing it out before the adhesive is dry. So to get rid of that, you just pull it back and re-wet it back down, and then that will eliminate that line. Now you're going to notice that I'm not doing that, but that's because it's so minor. Let's chomp this. All right, let's get some water in this one. Let's get some water in that one. Let's check the bottom. That all actually looks like it's stuck down real good. A little bit right here. All right, I'm gonna do the same thing there where I hold it with my finger while we work on these other areas. All right, let's dry all these edges. You can see right here that we've got some fingers popping up. Let's go ahead and dry those out. That looks good. Staying down. All right, let's go ahead and install these two parts, and then we'll wrap this one up. Okay, you can see here that this one has a big, I don't know what that is, you know, I don't know. I'm not a painter. I just know that there's something in there. Right there. It's pretty big. I'm gonna go, I've got to cover it. I mean, that's, you know, they bring it over to us as ready as they're going to pass. If we're putting paint protection on it, it means that it's passed their inspection. So let's go ahead and get this piece on. All right, so in an area like this, let's go up a little bit more. We were hanging over the bottom a little bit, and I'd prefer not to have to do any trimming since it's not really necessary. Okay, and if we get that lined up real good, there will be no trimming. That's great. All right, so in a situation like this, you know, this is gonna be hard to use. This card will be a little bit easier. Another card that I'll also use, I call these cards, but they're squeegees, is, you know, a smaller one like this that you might be able to run in there kind of at an angle, but I'm going to be using this one here. Okay, that went well. Now, let's see what we can see with this, what this is going to look like when it's dried out. Actually, I think I'm going to be able to get it to look pretty good with the paint protection film. And I mean, what I mean by that is that I'm not going to make it look worse. Hopefully. I mean, a little bit it's going to look worse, don't get me wrong. Something that protrudes that much out from the bumper is going to leave some little silver lines around it once the water dries out of there. But I mean, I thought I was going to have like a V shape that was going to look a lot worse than that. Fortunately, this is a small enough piece that if they do go, oh, whoa, hang on a second, we can just, they can repaint that, bring it back over, and we'll just throw that little piece back on. I don't know how particular their customer is, things like that, none of that's my business. Let's get this other piece on here. Okay, I'm just lining all that up as good as I can. Make sure I don't have anything hanging over any of the edges. And we're just being pretty gentle with the squeegee because this piece is going to move around very easily. And we definitely, then we're just going to have to lift it all back up and reposition again. Some tack solution would probably be helpful in this situation. But because, like I've said, I don't know how many times during this video, this paint is very tacky, so we're actually having an issue where it's like we're using tack solution to install it almost. So I'm just running my fingers across this and feeling for that edge on the top and bottom. Make sure I'm positioned from top to bottom correctly. And we'll just keep working our way over. Let's check this corner here to make sure we don't need to stretch that way, and that looks like it's lining up pretty good for this little piece. Okay, that's gonna dry real nicely. All right, that looks great. All right, so that's the process of installing a kit on a front bumper. This one happens to be a 2015 Tesla Model S 90D. And then, as far as things left to do, I need to trim around all of the parking sensors. I need to make sure that all the edges have stayed down, and then I need to heat seal those edges. I'm also going to need to come back and trim right in here where we're overlapping these two materials, because that is going to leave a silver line where these two overlap. So this will also get trimmed. This front edge will get trimmed because we were hanging down a little far right here. So that's what's left to do on this bumper, and we're not going to show that in this video. If you want to see those type of things, there are other videos on the channel that go over like heat sealing edges and trimming around parking sensors. So just take a look at that, and I appreciate you taking a look at this video. So if you found anything useful or helpful, please like and subscribe. We'll see you on the next one. This is how that little spot dried.